we're gonna explore a mystery hidden in the freezing darkness of our cosmic backyard that is honestly a bit terrifying, but absolutely beautiful at the same time. Most of us look up at the night sky and just see a peaceful, empty vacuum. But modern astrophysics, it tells us a completely different story. Seriously, think about it. What if, out there in the freezing darkness, something is actually watching us? And no, I'm not talking about some sci-fi alien spaceship with blinking lights and radio transmitters. I mean something far older, far stranger, and literally infinitely more powerful. What if a silent, ancient black hole has just been sitting in the shadows, recording every single beam of light and every moment of human history? I know it sounds like pure science fiction, but this idea actually sits squarely on the cutting edge of theoretical physics. Section 1. The Ultimate Cosmic Mirror. To wrap our heads around how a black hole could actually watch us, we've got to look at how they mess with light. Because a black hole packs so much immense mass into such a tiny, tiny point, it curves space-time to an extreme degree. Through something called gravitational lensing, it basically acts like a giant cosmic magnifying glass, literally bending the path of photons traveling all the way from Earth. And this extreme bending creates what is essentially the ultimate cosmic mirror. Right outside the event horizon, that famous point of no return, you have the photon sphere. This is a boundary where the gravity is so intensely strong that light is actually forced into a circular orbit. It loops around the black hole like a satellite before finally slingshotting back out into the cosmos. So imagine an advanced observer hanging out near that black hole. They wouldn't just see a flat picture of Earth. No way. They'd see our past permanently playing on a loop of infinite glowing concentric rings. The outer ring would show Earth exactly as it was 1,000 years ago. The middle ring, 2,000 years ago. And those super tight inner rings would literally be playing back the ice ages and even our planet's fiery birth. It is a literal cosmic optical archive. Moving on to Section 2, a black hole next door. So could one of these observers be lurking right here, near our own solar system? I know, usually when we think of black holes, we picture these massive stellar mass monsters, things up to 20 times heavier than our sun that kill stars. We definitely notice one of those. But primordial black holes, those were forged as fractions of a second after the Big Bang, and they are entirely different. They can be the mass of a planet, or honestly, as light as a speck of dust. Well, this brings us to a very real, very weird mathematical anomaly happening right now out in the Kuiper Belt. Back in 2016, scientists found icy objects out there with these highly unusual tilted orbits. They proposed the Planet 9 theory, a hidden world up to 10 times Earth's mass pulling on them. But then, by 2019, after finding literally no heat and absolutely no reflected light out there, physicists proposed a radical alternative. What if Planet 9 isn't a planet at all? What if it's a captured primordial black hole? If Planet 9 really is a black hole with 5 times the mass of Earth, its event horizon wouldn't be massive. In fact, it would be exactly 9 centimeters across. Just pause and really think about the sheer cosmic horror and kind of the beauty of that. An object the size of a grapefruit, completely black, silently orbiting us in the freezing dark for 4 billion years. It was there when single-celled life formed, and it's there right now, just silently watching us. Section 3. Time warps and invisible predators. Okay, but even if Planet 9 just turns out to be a chunk of frozen rock, we are far from alone out here. Astronomers actually estimate there are over 100 million isolated, completely invisible rogue black holes gliding silently through the Milky Way. These form from asymmetrical supernova explosions that literally kick the black hole right out of its star system. And because they aren't feeding on companion stars, they don't emit X-rays. They're basically invisible predators. In fact, NASA's Hubble telescope finally confirmed one of these solitary drifters moving through interstellar space back in 2022 using astrometric microlensing. And remember, Einstein showed us that intense gravity severely warps time. So for an observer, let's call them a watcher, parked near one of these black holes, extreme gravitational time dilation means humanity's entire existence flashes by like a crazy high-speed time-lapse. Individual human lives, they blink out in milliseconds. In seconds, the entire Roman Empire flares up, builds, and collapses into dust. In minutes, ice ages come and go. And in just a few days, our sun runs out of fuel, swells up, and destroys the Earth. To a black hole, our whole history is just an instantaneous spark. Which brings us to Section 4, Aliens, Spies, and Cosmic Computers. Let's push this thought experiment a bit further into astrobiology. If you're an incredibly ancient, Type 2 or Type 3 alien civilization, you probably aren't bothering to build clunky metal spaceships anymore. You might just capture micro black holes instead. Through something called the Penrose process, they could extract massive amounts of energy right out of a spinning black hole's ergosphere. Plus, a microscopic black hole is theoretically the ultimate quantum computer, literally processing at the absolute maximum speed the universe allows. If you turned one into an observation post, it would have infinite operational longevity, just running on interstellar hydrogen or Hawking radiation. It's the perfect, undetectable, indestructible spy, totally immune to time and impact, emitting zero thermal waste while it watches our planet evolve.
All right, Section 5, Earth's Doomsday Collision.
Now, what if one of those rogue watchers doesn't just pass by, but actually heads straight for us? The astrophysics here are genuinely terrifying. We'd be looking at a totally inescapable four-phase destruction. Phase 1. Decades out, the black hole tears through the Oort cloud, turning millions of comets into lethal projectiles aimed at Earth. Phase 2. Years out. Massive planets like Jupiter destabilize, and the starlight in our night sky distorts into these ghostly halos. Phase 3, just months out, Earth's orbit gets stretched into a chaotic oval. We're talking boiling oceans, global ice, and nonstop magnitude 10 earthquakes. And then, Phase 4, Earth is ripped entirely from the sun's orbit and begins its final descent. And that final spiral? It ends in spaghettification. Yes, that is a real astrophysical term, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Because the gravity is so extreme, the side of Earth facing the black hole gets pulled vastly harder than the far side. The extreme tidal forces would stretch our planet vertically and squeeze it horizontally. The atmosphere, the oceans, and eventually the entire solid crust would be stripped right off, stretching into a long, glowing stream of molten rock and debris, spiraling straight into the singularity. The observer quite literally consumes the observed. Finally, Section 6, the Quantum Memory Archive. Okay, let's take a breath. Despite all that apocalyptic destruction, there's actually a profound, strangely comforting truth hidden in the physics here. Back in the late 20th century, Stephen Hawking figured out that black holes aren't completely black. They slowly emit this faint trickle of particles called Hawking radiation, which means eventually, over trillions of years, they evaporate. But this set off a massive debate among the greatest minds in physics, known as the black hole information paradox. Because if a black hole evaporates, does all the information about everything that ever fell into it get permanently erased? If it does, that completely breaks the core rules of quantum mechanics. The resolution to this paradox is it's astonishing. It's called the holographic principle. Physicists realize that the information doesn't just vanish into the singularity. Instead, as matter or light falls in, its information gets encoded, pixel by pixel, right onto the two-dimensional surface of the event horizon in Planck-scale quantum bits. So the deeply comforting takeaway here is that every word humanity has ever spoken, every radio broadcast, every beam of light that has captured a human smile, it doesn't just vanish. It is permanently etched onto the surface of these cosmic titans. They are literally the ultimate memory banks of the cosmos. Over a century ago, Friedrich Nietzsche warned, if you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. He meant it as a psychological warning, right? But when we look at the universe through the lens of modern astrophysics, this poetic metaphor becomes a profound physical truth. We gaze into the dark voids of space, and through the very real laws of gravity, optics, and quantum information, that cosmic abyss is actively looking back at our tiny island of life. So, I want to leave you with this one final provocative thought to chew on. If black holes really are the eternal vaults of the universe, what story of humanity is being archived in the dark right now? Our existence isn't just some fleeting performance in an empty theater. It is permanently woven into the cosmic tapestry, preserved in light and gravity, long, long after the stars themselves turn to dust.
Please like and subscribe.